UFC 296 just wrapped up. Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, and here's what happened. What is going on, guys? It's Dylan Machete here, professional fighter, and I'm going to be breaking down what happened in Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. So, leading into this fight, I thought that Colby was going to win it, but I was really hoping Leon Edwards was going to get it done. And the reason is because Leon Edwards fights very similar to myself. He's a classic southpaw. He has a good left kick, good left hand. He's got a very good Thai style, but he makes a Thai style work for MMA. And I know that he started in MMA, but he has a Muay Thai coach. The Muay Thai coach has obviously drawn a lot of Thai things in. He does switch stances from occasion, which we will talk about in this fight. Yeah, this was a great fight, so let's get into it. So, got me notes here. I was taking these notes during the fight. So, round number one. So, Leon came out in orthodox, and it actually did confuse Colby a fair bit, you know. I thought that Leon was just going to come out, you know, being a southpaw himself, but Colby being southpaw, for the first half of the round, Leon was making sure that the stance stayed open, and the reason he was doing this is so he could constantly touch his lead hand with Colby's left hand. So he was constantly touching, Colby was touching, and that was kind of giving Leon the range to be like, okay, I can't get taken down. So if you're on the end of someone's punch, if their knuckle's touching your knuckle and their arm is fully extended, they can't take you down, or they've got to close that distance before taking you down. So Leon did a really good job in making sure that he stayed in that open stance all the time. So if Colby was southpaw, he'd be in orthodox. If Colby switched to orthodox, he'd be in southpaw. So Leon did a really good job in that sense. But then a little bit later in the fight, probably like maybe 3-4 minutes into the round, Colby and Leon were the same stance, and Colby threw a jab, and Leon did something that's it's a pretty basic thing, but not a lot of people do it. So he threw a jab, and Leon came over the top of the left overhand. So they were both in southpaw. Colby jabbed. Leon's left overhand came over the top, clipped. Leon's left overhand came over the top, Leon's left overhand came over the top and clipped Colby. Try to say that fucking 5 times fast. And he was just peppering him with the leg kicks. So those leg kicks, they really didn't look like they were doing a lot. And this is the thing with MMA is not a lot of guys check kicks in MMA. And if you're not going to check kicks against someone that's as good as Leon Edwards and has as good as Muay Thai as Leon Edwards, you're just asking to get your legs beaten out from under you. And that's what ended up happening later in the fight. So round two, obviously Leon kept doing the same thing. And Rogan actually said a comment that kind of stuck with me. He said, I've never seen Colby fight like this. And it's like, well, it's not because Colby was off. It was because of what Leon was doing. So Leon constantly had that pressure. He was keeping Colby against the cage the whole fight, or at least most of the fight, you know, especially the first 3 rounds. I had the fight rounds 1 to 4 going to Leon, and the last round going to Colby. But even then, like, Colby just had that constant pressure. Leon constantly had that pressure. He was constantly keeping Colby at the end, but he was landing those leg kicks, landing that jab, landing that left hand, landing those shots. And he was doing a really good job at just picking Colby apart from a distance. And it was there was actually someone in the Bang Tao Cafe that said, why isn't Colby wrestling? And I said to him, like, man, do you know how hard it is to wrestle someone that's constantly switching stances? Because say you're going to go for a single leg on their right leg, okay, I'm about to shoot for it, and then shit, now he switched to orthodox. Okay, I'm going to shoot a single on his left leg. Bang, now they switch. And he constantly kept doing that. And one thing that he was also doing really well was feinting. So he'd land a few jabs, he'd feint the jab, he'd land the left hand, he'd fake it, he'd land the left kick, he'd fake it. He was doing that special kind of a little hip feint that Adesanya in City Kickboxing have made really famous. Just the one where you're kind of in front of someone and you just move your hips slightly. He was doing that really well, and it made Colby constantly thinking about the kicks. Third round was a crazy round, you know. Colby ended up taking Leon down, and Leon ended up scrambled. He ended up getting on the front and ended up standing up, and he landed a good head kick on Colby. It didn't look like it was a super hard head kick, but it was to the back of the head, which does do a fair bit of damage, and that's where your head is most vulnerable to concussions, is getting hit in the back of the head. So, yeah, it was a good shot. And the leg kicks, man, this is where they really started to take damage. So you could visibly see how purple Colby's leg was getting. It was really starting to look like these kicks were doing damage, and you could see the change in Colby's face. And I believe it was at the end of this round is Leon landed a hard leg kick, and Colby went down and he reached for it and he really left his chin open. And you could just see the change in Leon's face, like, okay, like, I could set up a head kick here. So he landed the kick to the leg, and you could just see that he was like, okay, it's there if I want it. And yeah, he Colby just started to look visibly worried, not checking kicks, started to throw some panicky takedowns in there, just kind of like shooting, not really setting anything up. And this is where the fight really, really started to turn to Leon's favor. Like, he was winning the whole fight, but this is where you could visibly see, like, Colby was like, okay, I'm in danger here. Round 4. Colby checked a kick. Wow. MMA fighters checking kicks. Who would have guessed it? Not me. But yeah, he ended up taking Leon down. And Leon ended up nearly subbing Colby. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a rear naked choke. I might be completely wrong on that, but yeah, nearly slipped into the rear naked choke, we'll say. He goes back to the legs, constantly feigning, constantly landing that left kick. He landed a couple of good left hands as well, so he'd fake the leg kick. Colby would think about it, and then he just, boom, pop the left hand out there. Colby takes him against the cage, holds him against the cage. Leon escapes. And this is something that I also wanted to say is that Leon, to be able to do this for 5 rounds is fucking fit. So I've had one MMA fight and I've gone through MMA training camps, and it doesn't matter if you're just kickboxing with someone and you're defending their takedowns, that shit is exhausting. Like, if you got a wrestler like Colby that's like even 2 wrestling scrambles, 1 wrestling scramble, it's a different energy system compared to just striking in front of someone. So just the fact that Leon was able to stuff the takedowns, and if he was about to get taken down, he would just do a good job scrambling and not get taken down. Like, it was really impressive for him to be able to be that fit and do that for that long. I was super impressed just how composed he looked the whole time. Like, he didn't look tired at all. He obviously could have felt tired, but he didn't show it in the least, and that was super impressive just to see how fit Leon was. Round 5. Not a whole lot happened this round, but I would say this is Colby's round because Leon nearly subbed Colby, but Colby had like 3-4 minutes of control time on the top. This is where he nearly had him in a triangle, and then he nearly had him in an armbar, and but then Colby ended up getting on top and just laying, praying, and landing some ground and pound. But by the end of the fight, it was clear who won. Colby said after the fight that he thought he won, and he was obviously just being delusional and just, trying to sell a fight, trying to keep that character, trying to keep that kind of macho character that he likes to pursue. And we all know that's an act, but he likes to keep that act going a lot of the time. So what's going to be next for Leon Edwards? Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson happened earlier that night, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson got demolished. I wouldn't say demolished. He got dominated, is probably a better word. He got dominated by Shavkat Rakhmonov, and Shavkat, I think, would be a great fight for Leon Edwards. It is definitely probably the hardest fight in the division for him, because what Shavkat did to Wonderboy is something that he could very similarly do to Leon Edwards. But the difference between Leon Edwards and Wonderboy Thompson is Wonderboy is a very in-and-out karate fighter. He's very light on the feet, and those type of people are a lot easier to take down than a Muay Thai striker who has good hip movement, who knows how to use their hips properly. And Leon has actually shown very good wrestling. Like, he took Colby down in this fight. He out-wrestled Kamaru Usman in their 3rd fight. Like, the man knows how to wrestle, but it might just be a different level when it comes to Shavkat, because he's from Kazakhstan. Might have butchered that, but yeah, he's from Kazakhstan. He's strong. Like, he looked big in the cage, man. Like, next to Wonderboy, he looked a lot bigger than him. And that could be trouble for Leon Edwards, but I hope Leon gets it done. Leon's probably one of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. And mainly because he just fights similar to me. He's actually my favorite character to play in UFC 4, just because he fights like me. And can't complain with that. So the prophecy didn't end up coming true. We got Sean O'Malley as champion, Sean Strickland as champion, but Leon Edwards breaks the curse and makes sure that he stays champion. So guys, hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my social media down below. I've got fights coming up myself. Make sure you follow the journey. Keep following. I'm going to be posting vlogs, more fight breakdowns, all that good type of stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.